that they are going to be pursued, that the time for them to disarm voluntarily is now gone, and that unless they give up now, they are going to be pursued until this has been finally resolved.
As I was saying, the Labour Party relying on the Conservative support for the go-ahead for this war. How much involvement are you going to have in the strategy of it, if anything at all?
We're not part of any arranged coalition. I'm sure we'll be kept informed. But, you know, once a campaign of this sort starts, it's very much for decisions being taken in the field by the military. And what we can do in Parliament and must continue to do from the government and the opposition is to let our forces know that the Parliament and the country are behind them and fully support them.
We've heard from many of the main players so far this morning. We had an address from George Bush. Supposedly we heard from Saddam Hussein himself, and Geoff Hoon, the Defence Secretary, was speaking to us here on Breakfast, but we haven't heard from the Prime Minister. Is that a surprise?
I can't speak for the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister will obviously decide at what moment he makes a statement. This has been very much the opening shots of this particular campaign, and I would expect as this develops we will be being kept more fully informed by the Prime Minister, and certainly my party leader Ian Duncan Smith will be ready to come forward when that moment arises.
Michael Ancram, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for your views and your comments so far this morning.
And your messages out there flooding into us this morning, all concerned with this military action. Andrew Wilson from Newcastle says we should support Tony Blair and our armed forces in the attacks on Iraq. The Iraqi people need the assistance of the West. This one from Florida, Jonathan Starling from Jacksonville. As a citizen of the United States, I'm behind our president and I'm behind Tony Blair. I just hope this war doesn't drag out. God bless all the soldiers and God bless both Blair and Bush.
It's interesting, hasn't it, how the action overnight has really polarised the emails, and they've been coming in very distinctly on either side of this debate. This from Nancy Hallis from Barnsley. I totally disagree that we should get behind the troops since we are now at war. Bush should be held to account for this atrocity as to what is happening now. And Alison Stoke from Fife is also vehemently against the war. I'm genuinely unsure what people mean by supporting our troops, even if I don't believe in the war. The war is wrong, and I feel that we will pay a high price for this, perhaps now, not now, but certainly we will in the future.
Richard Monk from Exeter. Now that the war's begun, we need to make our voices of peace heard even louder. There's no justification for this war, and we should be aware of how the government is now manipulating the media. But David Greenmore from Reading says we should not have come to this. But now we are there, we must pray for and support those who fight in our name. Keep those messages coming.
That really is the underlying message, isn't it? Many people thinking about the troops out there, putting their lives on the line, probably facing the most difficult time of their, certainly emotional and their working lives. So lots of messages of support coming in from those troops out in the Gulf.
Now, time to test the temperature of the city with all this going on.